Today we've got a crazy story of an entitled parent assuming somebody's faking a seizure. We'll get into that in a bit, but first, my mother's husband acts like he has rights to see my daughter. I, 21-year-old female, made the decision to cut my stepfather out of my life completely. I also made the choice that he will not be seeing my daughter. Period. He was so abusive to me growing up and pretended the abuse didn't happen. He constantly gaslights me. He mentally and emotionally abused me. When I was having mental problems, my stepdad convinced my mother I was lying. He would call me names and make fun of me for not knowing how to do things I wasn't taught how to do. He would tell me how stupid I am. He would make fun of me for being autistic and bipolar. He would do or say things to purposely provoke me. He would say, "I wish you would hit me. Fight me, what's up?" Thing is, I never challenged him to a fight. I would defend myself from further injury and he would tell everyone I hit him. That I started a fight with him. Keep in mind, I was a 5'5", 120-pound girl. He would physically abuse me. He would punch and slap me in the face, shove me against walls. He thrown things at me. He told me that he wishes my attempt succeeded. He would always exclude me from family outings and going out places. I was excluded from everything. I got awards from an art show, and he claimed I was showing off and was angry that I was trying to hang them up inside my bedroom, and demanded that I throw them away. He was upset because I had awards and my sister didn't. He told me that it's not fair that I'm rubbing those words in her face because she didn't win any. My sister was his favorite. Anything she wanted, she got. I was stuck with old clothes that didn't fit, while my sister got new books, new makeup, new clothes, new shoes, you name it. She was the golden child. I was forgotten about. Every time I had plans with my mother, he'd force her to cancel them so she can go with him. She chose men over me. I had a daughter in February. I love her so much and want to protect her. My mother asked when I would let him see the baby. I made it clear that that wasn't happening. He's angry I won't let him see her. He said to my mom, "If I can't see her, then nobody else can. It's not fair that she's excluding me when I provided food, clothes, and a roof over her head. She owes me. She was a difficult child to raise." I wasn't difficult. I had mental issues that weren't taken seriously or diagnosed. I went through a lot of trauma that my family denied even happening. My stepdad went on Facebook and talked about how I'm excluding him and that I'm an ungrateful brat. He had family reaching out to me to get over the crappy things he'd done. He will never see my daughter. He will never see me again. He is cut out of my life forever. 100%. If nobody understands why you feel the way you do, like they cannot connect the dots, or they're biased enough to just take their side despite the abuse that they treated you with, none of those people deserve a spot in you or your kid's life. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you can't get enough of hearing about these entitled parents, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is, was I being rude when I told my mom she raised an entitled man-child? I'm not sure if this post fits here because even though I think my mom can be entitled, she wasn't acting it here, my brother was. I, male 17, just told my mom, female 44, that she raised an entitled man-child. My brother, male 20. When my brother was in high school, he used to get away with everything. He skipped school almost every day for 3 years. He bullied multiple kids when he did end up going to school, and she didn't even punish him when he threw a brick through the window of a public bus. I'm willing to excuse his past behavior because he was a kid, but he's just gotten worse. There was a time period where he'd gotten better and even got a job for a few months, which he wasted his income on alcohol. But who am I to judge him? It's his money. But eventually he quit his job because he didn't like the boss. I'm not even kidding. He had no reason other than he didn't like the boss. The previous year, my other brother, male 23, moved out and we all switched rooms because I used to share the room while the 20-year-old had his own room. Whatever, I don't care about that. My room is small in comparison to the room he's in, but they made me move out of the room I was in for the small room because he hated that they were favoring me. I honestly don't care about the size of my room, and if he would have asked, I would have given it to him, but he didn't. He threw a tantrum about it until he got what he wanted. Now he sits on the Xbox all day screaming at kids over Fortnite and being so loud. This has been going on for years, but it's just gotten worse now he's in the bigger room. My mom has asked him to calm down or just be quieter countless times, but he just refuses to. My mom has decided to combat this by making me do everything he should. Last month, she called me because she was shouting at me, and I had headphones in because my brother had complained that I hadn't taken his socks down and put them in the washer. She actually shouted at me for not doing his laundry. I told her if he cares that much, then he could do it. But she gave me an hour lecture about how I was being disrespectful and I should do things I promised, even though I never said I would. About an hour ago, she came upstairs and told us that she didn't want to cook tonight, so we would have to get something ourselves, which I told her I was fine with. When he found out, he threw a tantrum and said he didn't want to and yelled from my room that if he cares that much, then he can cook, and he said he didn't know how to. And I said, well, tough, you need to learn and stop complaining. My mom told me that I could cook something for the both of us, which I said absolutely not. I'm sick of cleaning up after him and that he was an adult. He said that I don't do anything in the house and that I was lazy. He hadn't left his room in 2 weeks and hasn't done chores since he was 12. He attacked my mom with the same accusation. When I got downstairs, my mom told me I was out of line and I blew up at her and told her that it wasn't my fault she raised an entitled man-child that I have to clean up after because he refuses to clean his room. She gave me another lecture which turned into me making food for him. Honestly, as long as it doesn't bring OP too much grief, I would say they need to keep fighting this and keep putting their foot down and basically calling the situation out for what it is and pointing out how he is an entitled man-child that does nothing. Maybe if you chip away at it long enough, they'll finally have something click and realize they need to turn their life around. Our next story is, my mom is asking me to pay for a trip I can't really afford at the moment. I need advice. My mom's birthday is today. In terms of gifts, I got her a dinner at a nice restaurant, a nice candle and a card, a gift card to her favorite store, and $50 for spending money. It wasn't a lot, but it's all I had. My mother's now asking me to put $500 on my credit card to pay for a trip. She said she would pay me back, but I don't really trust that she will. She doesn't have any income besides Social Security. Normally, I would have just done it without thinking, but I have so many extra bills to pay now that I may occasionally need my credit card for breathing room. My mom is just stressing me. I love her, I really do, but the older I get, the more I see how entitled she is. She didn't have anything for retirement, doesn't work, and married horrible men that ended up in a divorce. Now she's in her 70s and it's a problem because she's alone, has no money, and puts a lot of responsibility on me that would typically go to a spouse. Just to give you an example, she happened to end up in the hospital for a month for back issues. During 1 week of this month-long hospital visit, I had to get my wisdom teeth taken out because I had excruciating tooth pain, had all 4 pulled out. She wouldn't give me a day before she needed me to run errands for her. I had blood dripping out of my mouth like a vampire, couldn't talk, and I could only eat soup, but she expected me to go around town taking care of things for her. I guess she felt that my wisdom tooth surgery paled in comparison to her back issue, but that's just an example of how she can be. A part of me just wants to pay it, but another part of me is annoyed with her constantly asking for money when I'm struggling to stay afloat myself. I feel like she thinks I'm her retirement plan. I think sadly a lot of parents are kind of like this, where they have this conception that because they had a kid, that kid is their retirement plan. That kid is guaranteed what's going to take care of them for the rest of their lives, when it doesn't actually work that way. Like, if you can or you want to, that's great, especially, if they treat you well enough for you to feel that way. But in OP's situation, I think it's very understandable why OP's so exasperated, and it's no secret that they're not entitled to getting any of those things from OP. This next story is, Karen wants me to leave water park because of my tattoos. So since it finally started to warm up, me and some of my friends, all 19 to 22-year-olds, decided to go on a road trip. We decided the appropriate thing to do is go to a water park and theme park that were right next to each other and spend a few days out there for spring break. So we get the theme park out of the way first and have a good time, and then a few days later we head to the water park. So here's my thing, it's a water park. So obviously I'm gonna have my shirt off for a large amount of the time. I also happen to have a few tattoos. Not to the point where my whole body is essentially covered, but a good amount. I have one on my wrist that's barely even noticeable, which is some Japanese writing. The other one on my other wrist, and it's kind of hard to explain, but it basically wraps around my wrist and has some lines coming out of it. It's way better than it sounds, I swear. The third and final one is the most notable since it's a big back tattoo of a cross. Anyway, we get there and the first day goes well. It's a huge water park, so obviously we want to ride all the slides. So I'm walking back to our table from the bathroom, and when I'm almost there, this lady, looking like she's in her mid-40s, walks up and stops me. I'm a bit confused, so I just wait a minute before just saying, "Yeah?" And she immediately says that she has kids here and doesn't want to see that. So I don't know what she's referring to, and hoping nothing's sticking out of my shorts, she immediately points to one of my tattoos on my wrist. "That." "My tattoo? Is there anything wrong with it?" She said, "Yes, this is a place for kids and I don't want you influencing them to get one of these things." So I'm not really annoyed, just confused, since this is a place where 90% of the people have their shirts off, and at least a few of them will have a tattoo of some kind. So I tell her that this is a public place and everyone has their shirt off. A good amount of them probably have tattoos. Of course, everything I'm saying in this isn't word for word since I can't remember every single word, but this is basically how it went. She completely ignores what I say and tells me to put my shirt on, which I obviously say no to. She tells me to put it on or she's gonna call security. I tell her to do it and she walks off. I go back to my table and sit down with my friends, and they were literally watching everything go down, and I'm a bit nervous since even though I know I wasn't in the wrong, I still didn't want to get in trouble with security. About 5 minutes later, when me and my friends go to another slide, she comes running up to us with a security guard behind her. She tells him that I wasn't supposed to have them out. And he was just as confused as I was, since he didn't see anything wrong, and she didn't say specifically it was the tattoos. He asks her what she's talking about, and she gets even more mad and points to one of my tattoos. "Those!" He asks her what's wrong with it, and she goes off on both of us, saying how I shouldn't have those in a kid's place, and she doesn't want her kids saying this. He apologizes and tells her to stop bothering me. She storms off, and I continue with my trip with my friends. I saw her a few more times again throughout the trip, but I don't think she saw me. Oh, I almost guarantee OP that this Karen did see OP. They were probably silently fuming from the distance, just constantly watching OP, can't enjoy the water park, have to worry about the one guy that has 3 tattoos. I guess she's got the kind of kids where if they saw somebody else just picking up rocks and chewing on them, their kids would probably just do the same, huh? Our next story is, my dog saves my ranch from entitled parents. This is an older story. Let me explain because I know your curiosity is running wild. A while ago, there was a trend on TikTok about kids going to people's ranch and letting their animals free. As all other trends, this one is deadly because you might get shot. I have a piece of property a little ways away from my home that holds cows that I'm planning to keep. It's a good 50 acres. I have quite a bit of head there. Well, one night around 3 a.m., I was asleep in my warm, cozy bed when I get a call from the person neighboring that property. "Dude, you better get over here right now." I said, "Why? What's wrong?" He said, "I don't know. There's someone or something in your pasture and your cattle are going wild." Well, crap. I got out of bed and threw my clothes on. I grabbed my gun and my dog. I hop in the truck and hauled butt to the property. I get there and sure enough, there's some freaking Chevy Equinox sitting at the edge of my property. I drive over to see some kids in my pasture with all the cattle running and a male and a female in the car recording them. I drive in there, grab my gun and shout to them, "Just what in the heck do you think you're doing?" The entitled kid said, "Nothing, bro, relax." I said, "Don't tell me to relax, what the freak are you doing?" They said, "Chill, we're just gaining some clout, that's it." The entitled parent, a dad, said, "Hey, leave my boys alone." I said, "Hey, city slicker, what the heck do you think you're doing at 3 a.m. sneaking into my property?" The dad says, "We're gonna get a lot of likes on this, man. Please, dude, leave us alone. You ruined it." I said, "Freak off. You're lucky I didn't shoot you or my dog didn't get a hold of you." The entitled kid says, "Freak your dog." I say, "Excuse me? I don't believe I heard you." I said, "Freak your crappy dog." This kid had the audacity to pick up a rock and throw it at my dog. She was in the bed of the truck and had missed her, but this plumb pissed me off, so I stuck my head out the window and go, "Sss," which is the sound I make to stick her on something, or this case, someone. She's a blue heeler, so she's a herding dog, so she took off and went to nibble on his ankles, which is how she gets cows to go the way she wants them to go, but when she did it to these kids, it just scared the piss out of them. The kid said, "Get your freaking dog off me, it's biting me." I said, "Don't worry, son, it's a long ways from your heart." I was laughing my butt off while these kids were practically peeing themselves. I was peeing myself also because of how hard I was laughing. The entitled mom says, "Get your dog off my babies. We just wanted to make a video, jerk. Nobody would be sad if you ended yourself. Freak you." Her kids made it back to her car, and when they got in, she told me, "You'll be hearing from my lawyers very shortly." Long story short, I never heard from her lawyers. I never saw her again, nor heard anyone do anything like that again in my area. I love telling everyone this story because of this witch watching her kids get humbled. Big shout out to my dog Loretta for scaring the pee out of these kids and not letting any of my cattle get loose. Love you, girl. Fly high among the stars. Miss you, girly. Anyways, hope you guys had a good laugh. I'm not gonna lie, hearing this story, I was just worried that they would kick the dog or something. I was definitely more concerned about the dog's safety than anything. Our next story is, entitled mother yells at her 4-month-old grandchild. So my mom is the most entitled, self-absorbed, selfish person I know. She grew up with a silver spoon in her mouth and her daddy paid for everything, so she has no idea how to adult. Especially now at 72 years old, I have strived every day to not be like this woman. Truthfully, my mom didn't do much raising of me until I was about 15 years old. Other family members did prior to that. That being said, I gave birth to my daughter Megan in December of 2022, and she is the love of my life and the apple of my eye. My mom loves her for as much as she can genuinely love anyone or anything, and seems to think they're going to be best friends. Her behavior, however, has far from reflected that. Every time my kiddo cries in the background while we're on the phone, my mom's first reaction is, "What's wrong with her?" Each time I calmly say that she's a baby, and babies cry. Then her next response is always, "Well, you never cried," which I highly doubt. Over the phone, my mom has said things like, "I'm surprised you haven't looked at her and told her to stop. She needs to be quiet. I'm not in the mood to deal with her crying today. You're going to have to call me back. I can't listen to her." Nice, right? I've called her out on these kinds of statements before, saying that it's unacceptable for her to say those things and to speak to my child that way. But she's the queen, so no one tells her what to do. She moved to our area recently, and my daughter started crying while we were driving down the road. Not even full-fledged lung-emptying screaming, just medium-level crying. After a couple of minutes, my mom leans around the passenger seat and shouts, "Megan, stop!" And that's when I lost it. I tore into her and told her she will not scream at my child because she is my child and not her child, and that she was going to sit there and listen to her because that's what I have to do every day. I also told her if she has a problem with the noises my child makes, then she won't be welcome at our home. I yelled at her so severely that she cowered in her seat. Then I said very loudly and sarcastically, "It's okay, Megan. Grammy doesn't know what she's saying because she has no idea what it's like to raise a child." The rest of the car ride was pretty quiet, and it only solidified my decision to never leave my daughter alone with her. That's just kind of sad and shocking that at 72 years old, they treat a baby that way. Like literally, they went 7 decades without having any conception of how babies work. Our next story is my super fun encounter with an entitled mom, also a complete stranger, who just left her kid with me while I was enjoying a massaging chair at the mall. I decided to go to the mall today because I haven't been there in a while and needed some stuff. Due to the nature of my career, my back hurts only just all the darn time. I came upon a section of those leg and back massaging chairs and said, heck yeah. Some things to know about these chairs. These go through a series of 4 to 5 different types of massages, whilst it also squeezes and massages your legs. One of the types of massages it does in your back, it just goes up and down your spine, with hard and fast chopping-like motions. There's also other sections of these grouped together chairs placed all throughout the mall, so there were others that could be used, and in the area where I was, there were 5 other chairs grouped around me. I was in the upper left corner of that group of chairs. There was not a single person using any of the other 5 chairs. I wasn't really paying attention to where I was located, but right in front of me was a baby clothes store. Some things to know about me: I'm on the spectrum. I also am not a fan of kids or babies. Most importantly, if I'm getting my half-hour massage, I don't want to have to interact with other people. I just want to be left the heck alone. Here comes our entitled mother, entitled kid. He looks 9 to 10-ish, I don't know, I'm not great at guessing kids' ages. He's also pretty chunky, which is a detail you'll need for later. Entitled mother also had a baby in a stroller, but it didn't really do anything relevant to this incident. So they end up standing right in front of me, and the entitled mother told the entitled kid that she wanted to look in this baby clothes store, but the entitled kid didn't want to. So she tells him to go get a massage on one of the chairs while he waits for her, and of course, they head straight to the chair next to me. Why? Why? There's 5 whole other chairs available. It's literally printed how much money gets you however many minutes you get in the chair. She asks me the price, so I point to where it clearly tells you the price is. Then she asks where to put the money in, so yet again I point out exactly where it goes. It's even lit up brightly. But just before she's about to put money in, the conversation between them happens. The kid says, "But what if I don't like it?" She says, "You will, it's really relaxing." Kid says, "But what if it hurts?" She says, "It won't. See, this lady's been sitting here for a while and she's enjoying it." The kid says, "But what if I don't enjoy it? Can you go first and see if you like it?" She says, "No, Mommy's going right over to look at the baby clothes. But maybe if you ask nicely, this nice lady will let you try her." I say, "Nope, not getting up. It's only $1 for 5 minutes. If he doesn't like it, he can get off." Entitled mother just gave me a pissy look and just said, "Fine. Entitled kid, just sit there and try it and come join me in the store if you don't like it." So the entitled kid, yes, I'm still salty at this point that they put his butt in the seat next to me and not any of the 5 other completely open and available chairs, starts off not doing anything except sitting there. Thank God. But then an instant later, all heck breaks loose when the chair simultaneously grabs his legs good and tight and the chopping setting gets going. This kid is making this really loud crying/whining that starts off somewhat quietly but gets insanely loud when he realizes his legs are too big to get out of the grip of the chair. I said, "Dude, just calm down. The leg grip will let go in a minute and then you can get out." But his cry yelling, builds to a shrieking, "Mom!" That kid had massive lungs. That yell was so incredibly loud and went on for so long until his mom comes flying out of the store and just parks her baby stroller right in front of me, where it starts crying, and the mom starts yelling over the kid in the chair, asking him what's wrong, and the entitled kid says, "The chair's punching my back and it's got my legs and I'm trapped." The entitled mother starts trying to pick entitled kid up, but the leg part lets go, so they both kind of just stumble back into the stroller, which makes the baby start crying even louder. Then entitled mother says to me, "Why didn't you pull him out when it started hurting him because it was set too high?" Let me interject here. The settings are pre-adjusted, you can't change them. But more importantly, how is this my gosh darn fault to begin with? Then she says, "Or you could have come into the store to get me." Again, how is this my fault or responsibility? The entitled kid was fake sniffling because he wasn't even crying to begin with, just doing an insanely loud whining and screech, so she told them they'll go to the food court to get ice cream. Not the most exciting story on here, but incredibly annoying to deal with when I just wanted to be left the freak alone on my one day off and enjoy my darn chair massage. Honestly, sadly, I think that's kind of the gamble of using one of these massage chairs in a mall. Like, it might honestly be nice, but not only am I kind of mentally grossed out by just how many people probably did sit in there, but you have no expectation of privacy or a relaxing time. Lord knows if you didn't have some situation with some crying kid, there'd be somebody that sits only 1 or 2 seats away from you and for some reason has their music playing on their phone unbearably loud. This next story is, she's faking it. She's not having a seizure. She just doesn't want to work. I'm a 20-year-old female, and I have a disorder called epilepsy. I was diagnosed at the age of 12 and have had problems with it since. Different kinds of seizures in weird places, like the shower, in the middle of class, during some of my streams, etc. Backstory: I grew up in a small village that was very popular for tourists. The nature was gorgeous, and there were so many things you could do at any time of the year. During summers, you could take different hikes and stuff. When I was about 15 or 16 years old, I moved to a different city away from my parents though. Not because of bad parenting, but because of my college location. Of course, I did visit them sometimes, like during vacations, breaks like summer, winter, you get the point. During one of my summer break visits, I decided to take on a job to see what it was actually like to work. My dad helped me get one by contacting one of his former employees, who now was the boss of a restaurant located on top of a mountain with a beautiful view. They sold pretty simple foods there that I could make while working for them. The staff there were really nice to me, and we all did a little of everything because of the small amount of workers. Sometimes I was the chef, and then a few hours later I would be taking orders or be the bartender for those who wanted non-alcoholic drinks. Little of everything. The restaurant was pretty packed during summer, and almost every table would be taken for at least 4 to 5 hours straight. So we had a lot to do when it came to the food and serving it. It was pretty stressful for little me since I don't do good with loud noises and packed locations. PTSD. Kind of a nightmare in my opinion, but if I was an employee there, then I was going to work. My boss was very nice to me though, since she knew my dad and my diagnosis. We did have breaks, but they weren't more than 5 minutes long because of everything that needed to be done in this restaurant while it was open. So one day, a family of 6 walked in while the entire restaurant was packed with people, so much that some of our customers were sitting on the balcony floor while eating. They seemed fine with it though. After about 7 minutes of me serving some foods and taking orders, giving it to the chef, I heard a super quiet clearing of a throat and turned around to see where it came from. It was from the family whom were now standing in front of the exit door blocking it. I took a deep breath and walked up to them with a smile on my face. "Hello, ma'am, can't..." She rudely interrupts me saying, "Oh my gosh, finally, you are so slow." At first I was shocked, but then asked her if she needed help with anything. To which she responded, "Well, duh, me and my family need a table pronto so that we can sit down and get some food. We had a very long walk and need to rest, especially my kids." She points to her kids who look to be around 10 to 15 years old and just looking at their phones. Even the husband was, not giving a single care about what's happening. "Well?" At this point, Karen was right in my face, beet red, and looking like she's going to murder me through poison with the huge amount of perfume radiating from her clothes. I backed away a few steps and said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we're packed at this moment. I can't give you a table right now. If you want to, though, you can wait outside the restaurant until I can." If it was even possible, Karen became even more red and screamed at me, "Let me see your manager, you're being so rude." I started panicking but did as she said and started looking for my boss, who was currently washing some dishes in the back. I ran over to her and explained the situation. She told me to stay here and that she would handle Karen while I took on the dishes. After a few minutes of washing, my head started to hurt, and I was feeling like I needed to sit down or I would collapse at any moment. I knew what was happening, and as quickly as I could, took out my phone. I messaged my dad that I was having a seizure and that I needed help because it was getting worse. My dad sent me a message that he'd informed my boss and was on the way here to pick me up since I have no way of controlling my body and needed to go home or to the nearest hospital, which was about 5 hours away from where I was. My boss soon came back and told me that I could go home and she would handle my work today. When my dad arrived, he took my hand so that I had support and we started walking towards the exit, where Karen and her family were still standing with Karen digging daggers towards my dad now. Then, she decided to make the most stupid decision I have ever heard or seen. Karen walked up to my dad and started yelling at him, "What are you doing dragging her out of the restaurant? She's supposed to be getting my family a table. Her boss will fire her for doing this." My boss walked up to her and said, "Ma'am, even though this is none of your business, I've allowed her to leave because my employee is having a seizure and needs to go home for some rest." My dad ignored the argument and we kept walking towards the exit. Then, without any kind of notice, Karen grabbed me and started shaking me to prove I wasn't having a seizure. My dad became furious and pushed her back, hiding me behind him. out of Karen's reach. "Don't you ever touch my daughter again. I will have you freaking arrested if you even try to talk to her," my dad shouted extremely loud at Karen so that everyone in the restaurant could hear us. It became completely quiet and Karen's face was as white as a ghost because she'd just realized what she had done. My dad then walked out carrying me in his arms to protect me since I was completely helpless now with how long my seizure had been going on for. A few days later, my boss told me that Karen and her family have now been banned from the place, and if they try to come close, my boss will call the cops on them. And I can understand why, because what Karen has done could actually land her in jail. She attacked a minor who had a disability. Yikes. She is so incredibly lucky and should walk away from that feeling like she got away with it because she did. 100% grabbing somebody that is epileptic and shaking them while they are having a seizure, she should have been charged with assault. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another crazy entitled parent story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.